PlayStation.
The Sony PlayStation, released in Japan December 1994, has a strong legacy with a lineup of exclusive titles that to this day keep the cult of PS happy. While we see the polish, class, and shine of today, peer deep enough into their intricate past, and you may realize why they seem a bit edgy when it comes to crossplay options in some collaborations. The initial idea was born out of inspiration and appreciation, with the goal of innovation. When it comes to PlayStation, sometimes called the toy that saved Sony, we almost had a completely different timeline. Here are 5 things you need to know about the Sony PlayStation. It was 1988 when the conversation started, and it was 1989 when Sony greenlit the Super Disc project, which was designed by Sony engineer Ken Kutaragi. He was inspired to make a video game system after observing his daughter enjoy Nintendo's family computer console, or Famicom. Seeing the way it worked, its entertainment potential, and marketing value, Kutaragi set off on his idea, while the greater portion of the executives at Sony didn't believe in the project. At the time, Sony CEO Norio Oga did. The Super Disc project was a joint venture between Nintendo and Sony. This almost led to a hybrid console that would play CD multimedia and Super Nintendo cartridges, like an SNES-CD. Sony revealed the Nintendo PlayStation at CES, the Consumer Electronics Show, in 1991. The next day, at that same CES, Nintendo announced a deal of the same type with Dutch company Philips, a former CDX collaborator and direct competitor to Sony. The whole thing fell apart in 1992 due to messy licensing and profit disputes. Since sharing this information, while only 200 were produced, the Nintendo PlayStations were thought to be destroyed in the fallout. The last known surviving prototype of the Nintendo PlayStation sold at an auction on March 8th of the year 2020 for $360,000. The PlayStation logo was designed by Manabu Sakamoto. He'd submitted several designs, and it has changed a few times before things settled into the illusion of death perspective PS we all know today. The chosen logo in its colors, red, yellow, green, and blue, represents brilliance, passion, joy, charm, and elegance. And then there's the shapes on the buttons on the controller. The triangle represents viewpoint, the square, documents, the X and O switch between yes and no, depending on global region. The PlayStation project had been shifted from Big Sony Core to Sony Music in 1992 to protect it from executives who had no faith in it. After the research and development team made up of employees from both Sony Core and Sony Music Entertainment Japan presented their business plan, Sony CEO Norio Oga simply stated, "Do it." Oga expressed the project didn't fit either company's existing culture, so in November of 1993, Sony Computer Entertainment Incorporated was formed out of a joint venture between Sony and its subsidiary, Sony Music Japan. The factories that would normally press music CDs would now also press game CD-ROMs. Where it would take cartridges months to build up a large stock, CDs could do it in a few days to a couple of weeks. SCE America would be established in May of 1994, and Europe, January of 1995. They would be renamed Sony Interactive Entertainment in 2016. While Sony currently has 8 forms of public sales and operation revenue, game and network services has been shown to make upwards of 27% of the revenue for the corporation as a whole, near double the percentage of its closest sub-sibling, making the PlayStation brand the belle of the company ball. Thanks for watching OTAQUEST in Japan, and click that subscribe button to find out more about Japanese anime, games, fashion, music, and so much more. Game on, gamers.
$2.99.